In late May, President Biden ordered a 90-day investigation into the origins of the coronavirus. There are now only 18 days left until that deadline. But former President Trump has seen enough, and he wants to hold China fully responsible for the global pandemic that originated in Wuhan, demanding the communist regime pay the U.S. $10 trillion in reparations. However, it doesn't seem like President Biden is interested in holding China responsible. Earlier this week, Press Secretary Jen Psaki wouldn't even entertain the thought.
President Biden hasn't called for reparations from China. Does he support them? Does he think that China should pay us financially for what it has allowed to spread?
Our policy hasn't changed.
So is he open to...
Did you have another question?
Yikes. Well, joining us to discuss is the host of The Michael Savage Show, Michael Savage. So, Michael, I'm told that you don't believe China should pay for the pandemic. You side with the White House here? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts.
No. It's a very tricky question. Of course, I'd like to see them pay reparations. However, we have to be very careful and not let our emotions override our intelligence. Remember what reparations against Germany triggered after World War I. It gave rise to Hitler and World War II. We better be very careful how far we take this, because it could wind up as a very dangerous boomerang. Why do I say that? Because history teaches us that massive reparations claims that are perceived as unjust, even by a responsible nation, can turn into great propaganda tools that could be exploited for the worst totalitarian regimes. And right now, President Xi is more powerful than Mao Zedong, with one of the most powerful militaries on earth. And I don't think he's going to say, sure, we'll pay reparations. Should they? Sure, they should. I stated this in early 2020 in one of my podcasts. I even said it's time to blame China for COVID-19 and demand financial reparations. I asked back then, is COVID-19 our generation's Pearl Harbor? And I said, yes, and in many ways it is. However, I do believe it was an accidental escape from their laboratory. I do believe for sure the Chinese covered it up. And I know from studying this in great detail this week to be on your great show, that nations under international law have obligations in relation to the outbreak of any disease. There's a no harm principle. There's Article 6 of the IHR. The WHO has international health regulations. And right. Article 6...
Okay, Michael, listen, you mentioned Pearl Harbor, and this was a biological Pearl Harbor. And to continue with World War II analogies, you say that, well, the Chinese Communist Party could turn into or morph into the Nazi Party. I would submit to you that it already is the Nazi Party of the 2020s. This is an absolutely evil and adversarial regime that wishes the worst for the United States. So this idea that, oh, we're going to push a docile government into a bad space, they're already in that space. I think you're being naive here, Michael.
I may be naive, but I'm also very worried about triggering a war. I mean, there's a 1927 case where the Permanent Court of International Justice asserted that a state must wipe out all the consequences of any illegal act. I don't want to go into the law, but I got to be very clear here. I'm a trained epidemiologist. I've not seen any evidence that the Chinese purposely caused the virus to spread. They allowed it to happen.
But even if they didn't,
covered it up.
Michael, but even if they didn't, they covered it up. Yes, but covering it up is enough, right? That is enough, because if they'd been honest with the world, we very likely could have contained this to Wuhan in those very early days if they had been honest. So even if it didn't come from the lab, and I certainly think it did, but even if it didn't, they should still be on the hook. Let me ask you this, Michael. What do you propose then that we do to deter China from doing this again to the United States?
Well, again, I want to go back to my primary point, so I'm not putting the camp with Joe Biden. Yes, they owe us and the world for what they have done, whether it's by accident or whatever. They're not going to pay a dime. However, they hold an awful lot of our debt. What if we just don't pay our debt? Isn't that another form of collection? Without putting a sword up in the air and say, let's fight? Say, okay, tell you what, it's cost us $1 trillion in our economy. We're just not going to pay you. What are they going to do next? They have a power. They could do a lot of things to us. So we got to be very careful here. We're on the cusp of a potential war. None of us want war, but they certainly have not done their best efforts to reduce the risk of transboundary harm, according to law that I have read. And the fact of the matter is, they do have an obligation to do good, to pay for what they have done. But how do you make them pay? You know, Michael, they're never going to release yet.
Right. So let's turn the focus to here at home, and somebody that a lot of folks would like to see answer some questions, Dr. Flip Flop Fauci. How is Fauci held accountable? How should he have to respond?
Let's go to Joe Biden. We're sitting here looking at what China did a few years ago, while Biden is bringing COVID-infected illegal immigrants into America and busing them and flying them around America. Who's going to pay for that? The states are going to pay for it because Catholic Charities wants more people to sit in their pews, and the ACLU sued the states to force this to happen. Should the ACLU pay? Should Joe Biden pay? Who's going to pay for any of this of what he's doing? This is actually worse than what China did because this is known to be spreading the virus around the country. Maybe the Chinese didn't even know they were doing it. Anyone in the Biden administration with a fourth grade education understands if you're bringing someone with a disease, they're going to spread it. So, yeah,
well, listen,
who's gonna
Michael,
pay for that?
we know the Chinese knew what they were doing. And the reason we know that is because they did seal off Wuhan from the rest of China. They protected Beijing and Shanghai while they allowed the citizens of Wuhan to unknowingly become the seeding agents of this virus all over the world. They allowed international travel flights from Wuhan to Milan, to San Francisco, to New York, but not to the rest of China. They protected mainland China, unfortunately. Here's what I want to also ask you, though, about that situation. It's easy, actually, to get them to pay. Number one, canceling the debt. I think you're exactly right. We concur there. But massive tariffs, and I mean massively increased tariffs, which I think make economic sense anyway. But that is a way for us to collect what should be, according to President Trump, a $10 trillion fee. According to Peter Navarro and his economic models, it should be $20 trillion, roughly a year of GDP. Whatever the number is, it's massive. But we can collect it via massive tariffs because the Chinese absolutely have to ship their goods to the U.S. consumer. Their economy is still totally beholden to U.S. consumers. We actually hold the strong hand here. Wouldn't that make sense?
Steve, you're right. I agree with you. But President Xi is a totalitarian dictator, and the powerful propaganda department of the Chinese Communist Party, as we all well know in the media, works hand in glove with the powerful propaganda departments of Facebook, Twitter, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, and NBC. They're not going to take the side of right here. So where is that going to leave us? And by the way, China's tone has only toughened the more people have been demanding reparations. And this is a dangerous situation. And of course they covered it up. We know that the scientists at the Wuhan Institute of Virology became so ill with COVID-19 like symptoms that they required hospitalization as far back as November of 2019. That's established. Everybody knows this. So what do we do about it? I don't think we're going to collect 1 cent from China. Tariffs, great. Reparations, no. Cancel our debt, maybe. But reparations, I think it sounds good, feels good. It's a good campaign point. But I don't think they're going to pay us. But it feels good to say it. But again, I want to repeat one thing. Massive reparations against Germany led to Hitler and World War II. So you say, well, should we do nothing? I don't have an answer.
That's a tough one.
I
Michael
don't have an
Savage,
answer.
We have to run, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. Always great to see you.
You see how hard I worked on this research just for this show?
We appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
That's
It's always
because I
great
want to
have the
impress the
dialogue.
two of you. I want you to be happy with me.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.